Hello there and welcome. In this video I got you 10 different tips and tricks for advanced players in the mid and end game for Rimworld. In this one I tried to bring up as many sophisticated and more advanced strategies that help for either higher difficulty levels or later stages of the game. Either way, I hope that there's something interesting in it for you, and let's get started with number 1, shield packs. So low shield packs are, in my opinion, quite amazing things. They provide you a momentary cover from bullets, and while this might be only a momentary thing, for one, it is rechargeable. All you need to do is go back to your machining table and look at all this bulky list things and go for not jump pack, make low shield pack here. And this will then pick up the shield core after it's burned out and the component and recharge it. Be assured that this thing is very useful, but also be assured about the fact that its temporary effect is not enough to just resolve problems by itself. But it will give you that moment of time that you require. You can daisy chain several of these into one another to get a maintained chain of shielding, which can be really devastating for open field fights. But overall, I recommend these things, especially for later stages of drop pod raiders and breachers, where you are forced to fight outside of your favorite combat spots. Moving on to number 2, temperature traps. So heat traps are one of the most sophisticated and powerful ways of killing enemies, and all you need is stone walls, timber, and a couple of IED traps. So this thing works by having one door at each end, held open, and as soon as the enemy steps on one of these IED traps, don't put them too early into the entrance, otherwise the enemy doesn't enter the maze fully. Once they stepped onto that and fire is spreading, add as many of these extra into it to speed up the process. One mine is enough, but more mines make it burn faster. After that, make sure that you remove the hold open jobs at the entrances here. Have somebody with or 2 or 3 people with construction in the vicinity, and just repair the doors if enemies try to escape. Double layering the walls serves 2 reasons here. For one, sometimes the enemy tries to mine themselves out of their prison, which is something that is slowed down by this process. If that happens, set somebody outside to repair the wall. But it also does insulate the whole prison better, which means the temperature will rise quicker. Triple layering is also not bad if you can afford. The very important things for this whole thing to work are, though, the doors are not allowed to be out of flammable materials, but because the moment there is a hole in this entire box, the temperature evaporates rather quickly. And the other thing is the interior parts should all be flammable, and add in a couple of service doors. I love auto doors for this, to make sure that your folks can do the construction jobs inside there without too much of a hassle. These things are excellent against everything that is susceptible to heat. Unless there is an enemy which isn't, then they are pretty useless. But all in all, setting up a heat trap is something that you can use to burn down enemies, because technically we can build this as large as we want to, and as many enemies can fit into there as we want to, so this is a very scalable solution. Number 3, focus on quality. With that I mean not only using higher quality gear wherever you can, I mean with guns especially, quality matters so much. With that I mean that you should try to get yourself the best items that you can over the course of the time. Don't make clothing out of light leather. Try to make it out of devil strand or comparable things. If there's Strumbo fur available, that's a good material. Check out other leathers that have powerful stats. All in all, try to get, with everything you can, always the best out of your items. Especially materials make such a big difference. The difference between a plasteel weapon and a steel weapon is already quite big, for example. In short, wherever you find something you can upgrade on the items and on the gear of your people, it is usually worth it, because quality matters in this game a really, really huge amount, and The better the armor, the better. But before you get nothing at all, take something with low quality and upgrade from there on out. Number 4, deep mining. So the deep drill does require a ground penetrating scanner, but this is an excellent source of resources in the later stages of the game. What is a little bit annoying about the ground penetrating scanner is that it is a science job that has a little bit of a different time getting prioritized. So if you suffer from that and you don't have mods running for that, Achtung is an excellent mod to force people working on that. You can also just create a zone on top of the create a new zone on top of the scanner, and then assign somebody to that zone specifically and give them only a schedule for research, and they will work done. This is a nice workaround for several things that you can't schedule correctly. Deep mining has one hidden problem though. When you mine too much somewhere, sooner or later insectoids will spawn around the drill site. That means this drill site ain't safe. It should be walled off and secured. You should always do that. Also, consider sending people that you don't miss too much to these deep mines, because eventually something bad will happen. Alright, number 5, a general thing that I can't stress out enough. The later the game goes, the more you should orient yourself to kill enemies with resources. The colonist is the last resource that you want to toss onto the enemy. Use things like these temperature traps, or turrets, or animals, or whatever tickles your fancy before you let the enemy come to your colonist. Because the colonist is always the most difficult to replace resource in your colony. They need to be trained, they need to be fed, they need to be cared for. A drone doesn't need that. A trap doesn't need that. Even animals do need way less effort to be maintained compared to a colonist. If you would rely to resolve attacks and all other outside threats just with your colonists alone, the later stages of the game, at least when you exceed 100% threat, eventually will overtopple you. And even if you are playing it just on the regular strive to survive difficulty, it is a lot easier to consider that every resource like wood, steel, or to some degree even stone is replenishable. Every material is either regrowable or tradable from the outside sources, and if you can make the combat less problematic by tossing like 200 or 300 units of steel and chem fuel on top of it before they meet the colonists of yours, it's worth it. You just need to consider how to sustain these costs. And this is the real crux. This is the real dilemma that we have while we're playing Rimworld, that we always want to not toss too much resource on the problem, but just the right amount. And that's where the fun is, even after thousands of hours. Now, number 6, another nice thing that's easy to overlook. My favorite usage of nutramines is not making my own medicine, it is crafting Penoxycyline. Penoxycyline keeps the so annoying lethal diseases away, and it's really cheap to craft. It is some reason to regularly buy nutramines to recraft it. You also will need to manage your drug policies, because the regular social drugs panel does not have that enabled here. You will have to enable it like this for your people. Ideally, I recommend to keep also one in the inventory, and you're good to go. Seriously, it is so worth it to check out this stuff. Even if you are not into any of the other forms of drug production, Penoxycyline makes your colonies so much more sturdy with almost no expense except for importing nutramines. Number 7, empower your colonists with implants. Whenever you can get hands on architect gear, bionic gear, you name it. Maybe you have a modded run where you have more bionics available than these just in vanilla. Buy them, install them, use them, especially on your favorite colonists. Upgrading your people with these items makes them so much stronger later in the game. Obviously, without mods, we can only craft ourselves bionics, which is already impressive enough. I mean, if you would replace all of the natural items with bionics, you'd have already a much more powerful person. All in all, implants of high quality are an excellent way of investing your money in the entire course of the game, because people will get maimed eventually, people grow old, and there are so many reasons to have to replace organs, and if you have the opportunity to replace them with something better, that's just the best thing to do. Therefore, keep an eye out on these on traders, and even if you don't need them yet, you will. And even if nobody actually is missing that limb, if this is a good one, an architect or such, I mean, who needs that natural stuff? Anyways, so number 8, emergency escapes. Sometimes, especially when you are facing the later stages of the game for the first times, things go wrong. Terribly so. And with the transport pod, or nowadays even with the shuttle, you have an emergency card to get out of here. The thing is, boarding your folks boarding a transport pod with your folks, or several transport pods for that matter, and just jettison your people onto some other tile will give you the opportunity to just restart somewhere else. You can abandon the old colony, rebuild yourself elsewhere with all the time that you need. The interesting thing here is, when you abandon an old tile and resettle on a new tile, the threat meter for expired time, this is a thing and it exists, will get reset to 0, which means the whole doom clock that the storyteller has, they grow substantially more evil over the course of the years until they have hit a certain threshold, in short, in case you weren't familiar, will be set to a new timer, and that means you can just build up yourself new, learn from your past mistakes without having to restart entirely. And that is something really nice for these. Number 9, raiding and long-range mining. So, long-range miners are... where are they again? We use the fancy here. Not long blades, long range mineral scanner. With that one, we can uncover outside mining sites, or sometimes around the world there will be raidable spots. This is an excellent way of gaining new materials and having your own colony manageable. So if you have a party of 3 or 4 people that regularly go raiding or mining, mind you that while these guys are on the tour, the colony on the main tile is much less wealthy, and therefore the attacks will also be less severe. Therefore, getting resources from outside of your main colony actually makes it easier to defend the main colony while your raiders slash miners are on the road. That is a nice thing and should motivate you to use more of these outside sources, because they are actually really worth it and usually are easy to pick up. And get up these pack animals, get your muffalos and whatever you can muster, and get these resource sites, because I gotta say, you really gotta get a lot of material and a lot of wealth that you can work with for quite some low effort, in my humble opinion. And last but not least, number 10, try to invest and not to hoard. With that I mean, whatever you gain when you raid an outside source, and the materials are not something that you can directly invest into your colony by building something, consider selling that off at the next trader, or heck, even form a caravan and sell it on the doorstep of the next city in your vicinity, and buy something else with that. The nifty thing about Rimworld trading is you always come out with less wealth than before, but with something that you wanted, which is doubly serving you. For one, you will get an item which is more useful than the stuff that you had before, and the other thing is you have successfully even reduced the wealth of your colony while getting something which is more useful. So, as a simple example, if we'd be selling away 300 units of beer for a couple of weapons, the total wealth of the colony will go down, but we will be better equipped against the now weaker rates than before. And that is a mechanic that you can utilize. Therefore, investing things that you find into something that you want to have is so worth it in this game. I can't stress out how much that's true. Alright, so I hope that these things helped you out. I leave it like there. Add in your words of wisdom into the comment section, because I gotta say, this is a very, very exhaustive and big topic, and I think I've only started talking about it, basically. So, feel free to add in. Many thanks to the comment section teaching me so many new things as well. So it's lovely. Leave a like, leave a subscribe, consider donating to the channel via Ko-fi or any other given means. As a full-time self-employed content creator in his fledgling years, I can really use any help that I can get. Thanks for all the help that I do get, and of course, thanks for watching this video up until the very end. Appreciate your time, and see you on the next one.